Yeah, I still think they are, but I don't think they're heavy favourites. I think, whenever Team USA is at a tournament, they're always the favourites. But are they 2-1 favourites compared to everyone else? No. I think it's very, very close now. As Lithuania showed, I think, Germany's playing good basketball as well. Slovenia, even Serbia still can't be counted out. Italy's playing well. So there's a bunch of teams that are doing really, really well. And I think that the quarterfinals are going to be a nice test for all the teams involved. I really think most teams that are there right now have a chance to go through to the semis. I think it's been like that probably since 16 probably, where I think it's been kind of pretty open to different teams, and we've seen that in the last World Cup. Obviously the Olympics was a different story in 21, but it was still close for the most part. So yeah, I think the world's it's been probably the last decade. It's been the world's competitive now, and I don't think the US are just rolling into tournaments thinking they're just going to tick a box and win like they probably did in the 90s and the 2000s. I think that's where the rest of the world's definitely caught up, and that helps with having more NBA players from those countries, right? Most of those countries now, our national team went through the same thing. It's like you're not intimidated by the US because you see them on a daily basis as an individual, right? That makes a huge difference for a lot of these countries that have 4 or 5 NBA players. Obviously, Luka's going to be up in the mix. I think Schroeder's been really good for Germany. I think he's just been really super efficient, shooting the ball really well from three. He does a lot for them. He's a very, very good defensive player as well. Plays both ends of the floor. So those two would be my guards, most likely. I mean, 5-man, probably Valanciunas or something of the like. Latvia have a few bigs as well that could sneak in there. And then obviously you got to chuck a few USA players. As far as a 5, it's kind of hard to knuckle down 5 just because I think every team has different guys. But my guard spots, I definitely have Luka and Schroeder. I think there's a mix of things. I guess the offense seemed very one-dimensional. It was a lot of pick and roll, and when the pick and roll didn't work, we pick and rolled even more. And I think our ball movement wasn't great. I think the key to the 16 and 19 teams, even before that, was everyone felt involved. Even if they weren't shooting, everyone got a touch on the offensive end for the most part. This campaign felt a lot more isolation-based, and that's kind of the American way of playing. It's a hard way to play in FIBA. I think when you play against, just watching Latvia yesterday and the way they move the ball, it's beautiful to watch and it's hard to guard. So I think that's where we had a strength previously. This campaign, it was definitely a weakness of ours. We weren't moving the ball as much. And then, guys like T. Thibault, Joe Ingles, these kind of guys didn't have a great tournament, but I think when you're stuck in the corner or the wing and you're not really getting touches on a consistent basis, I think it makes your wide open shots even harder to make because you don't feel involved. So I think that's a cleanup. I think defensively we're all over the place at times. I think the 1-5 switches really put pressure on our bigs, especially Nick Kay and Xavier Cooks at times, even Duop Reith to guard a Schroeder one-on-one. Guard a Luka one-on-one, that's a tough task for good guard defenders. Then all of a sudden you switch a big onto them and teams just punished us on that. So, not the end of the world for the Boomers, but definitely, probably the poorest campaign we've had in more than a decade as far as a result. I think it's wide open. A lot of people are saying, Denver are the favourites again, but I think it could be a hangover for Denver, I think. Getting their first championship, going through all that. They were kind of the underdogs for a lot of the series as people were picking against them. They'll be there somewhere. Phoenix, obviously, stacked roster, have to be in the mix. The Clippers are always spoken about, but, I've seen their big push on comments on the whole load management. They're going to try not to do that this season, and I think that's very important for them. I think they need some flow and some consistency of playing together, and if they can do that, I think they'll be back up towards the top. Out east, the obvious ones out east, I think Milwaukee will definitely be bouncing back after a really subpar year. Boston will be in the mix, there's no doubt about it. Miami, interested to see, whether they get Dame or get another piece. If they can get another piece and not lose too much, so if they lose like a Hero and a role player for a Lillard or something like that, I mean, I'll have them as one of the best out in the East as well. So they're probably kind of my 6. The Warriors will be knocking on the door. Having CP3 most likely come off the bench, I think helps them a lot. So, but they're kind of the 6 I'd look at.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.